Whoa, wait a minute. This is a family show.
Welcome to the Simpleton Review. We are so glad you're here. I am Simpleton number 1, Nate the Great.
Hey, and I'm Charlie, Simpleton number 2.
I'm Simpleton number 3, Lem, and I don't know if I'd call myself great, but I'm here.
You are Lemtastic.
I'm here.
Well, I am Simpleton number 4, and I am the fabulous Tristate.
Woo! Yay! Class and culture, class and culture, class and culture.
Class and culture.
All right.
Class and culture, class and culture, class and culture.
This week we are reviewing the number 1 movie of 2023, I'm pretty sure at this point, Barbie. Yeah, we are not Christian nationalists. We're not conservative white men. Well, we are, probably, but we have good things to say about the movie. We are not going to burn a Ken doll or a Barbie doll in a barbecue and like certain people on conservative podcasts would do. All right, so the synopsis, which I love this in IMDb, I love the synopsis of Barbie. Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence. That sounds like my life. All right. The director, of course, is the great Greta Gerwig, and the writers are Greta Gerwig, and Noah Baumbach, and of course it stars Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Issa Rae, among others, which, by the way, Issa Rae was in the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse as well. So, if you guys didn't know that, now you know. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first since I chose it.
All right, Charles, go first.
Snubbed it. I thought I knew that going into this what we were expecting because I love Greta Gerwig. She is amazing. Her work has like really stood out to me, both as an actress and as like a writer, producer, director. I just really like the way she brings the feminine class up to a state where it's like still human. You know, it's not something that's like out of the like realm of like we're all still together. Whether or not we're treated, whether or not how we're treated, but here we're gonna say what we need to say, and I really appreciated that. And this movie's no different. I mean, honestly, with all the glam and the glitz, it really came back to look at who we are. We're still on this planet. We are still together, and guess what? Things are gonna flow, and we are gonna say our piece and keep going forward.
For sure. Absolutely. Great. Lemuel, how about you? You go ahead.
I didn't really like this film. I think it was too feminist for my tastes. Hypothetically.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
I thought...
White misogynist.
I was pleasantly surprised.
Burn him!
Do you feel women hate you now?
Yes, and I hope that's the case. No, I was pleasantly surprised. I was walking into it kind of assuming it was going to be similar to those cartoons that they put out, that the animation is always the same, even though they released some of the new ones. But it was not anything like that.
What?
I was so bummed they didn't reference the animated Barbie movies.
Those animated Barbie movies, they are self-aware. I'll tell you that. They are self-aware.
Right, fair enough. I mean, I like the way everything was shot. The sets looked good. When they're traveling, I thought that was just green screen, but that was actual like set design they threw in there, which I guess explains why it looks so
that's
good.
Cool.
So,
almost hardly no CGI.
That's impressive.
well, that's like one of my favorite things about it is the fact that a lot of it was actual set design and no, like hardly any CGI. I liked the acting. I liked the jokes. I liked Alan, which if you've seen the movie, you like Alan too.
Perfectly played by Michael Cera.
Yeah, Michael Cera was playing Michael Cera, but still, I love Michael Cera, so it's fine. I think Trista has a lot to say. She looks like she has a lot to say. Or maybe she's waiting for somebody with a shirt to come in.
I am waiting for somebody to make a cameo appearance, but he doesn't have a shirt on. So.
Whoa, wait a minute. This is a family show.
Wait.
He doesn't have a shirt on.
No belly buttons.
I knew I was going to like the Barbie movie. I did not expect it to be as emotionally driven as it was. And it's amazing for it, honestly. There's a lot of stuff in it that I did not expect it to touch on, like a lot of the relationship with mother and daughter being so prevalent with the story. I thought that was really heartfelt and touching. And of course, there is a lot of the feminist agenda, I guess you could call it. But I like how it kind of did like a reverse image of the real world, where men are kind of the leading roles of the world, whereas in Barbie Land, it's the women, and it's like a mirror image of each other. And I think that was something that a lot of people, especially a lot of men, kind of missed with it, where they saw it was just a men-hating propaganda film, when in reality, for a lot of women, me, myself, and even a couple other men, they saw it as the reverse image, and it was just really bringing to light how women can see the world through the eyes. It really just shows a really clear example of what the world looks like to a lot of women with men in charge and a lot of stuff. And yes, you could see that as like heavy propaganda towards feminism and stuff, but I didn't see it that way. And there was also a really good element in it with Ken himself. Speaking of which, come here.
There it is! Yay! All right, now get out of our video.
Yeah, get out of here.
That's enough, Ken. For
Yeah, go
one
away.
Yeah.
You're enough, but only for a second.
Go back to your beach.
No.
Awesome.
But
That's a great shirt.
there is a wonderful element with Ken and Barbie's relationship that I did really like, where they kind of touched upon it near the end with Ken not knowing what to do with himself without Barbie.
Yeah.
And the main point that I got from it is that you can't base your whole personality off of somebody else. And I thought that was really great, especially for the Ken archetype. I thought it really suited that. And I feel like a lot of people missed that part in it too, which is kind of a shame, because it was a really great moment of Ken being like, you know what? You're right. I can't just rely on you as my personality. I have to figure out who Ken is. And I liked that a lot. And you're right. The set design, costuming, all of that is just beautifully done and meticulous and just gorgeous to watch in general.
Yes, I dittoed everything that everybody has said about the movie. I mean, I think when you walk into that movie and then what you end up consequently thinking about that movie says more about who you are than what the movie is about. I think there's a lot of times what happens.
Yeah.
Like, you're going into this movie with the preconceived notion. Generally, the ones who have thought this movie was terrible is because they've already listened to Ben Shapiro and Fox News tell them that it's just nothing but feminist propaganda, trying to get rid of men and blah blah blah, and they aren't seeing the whole point. That feminist manifesto that she delivers towards the end of the movie is not just a feminist manifesto. It is, as Trista was pointing out, it's we all need to be who we are and find our self-worth for who we are inside, not for who everybody around us makes us, right? That's what that was all about. I mean, yes, I'm sure there were, I know, there were plenty of women who go, she nailed it, right? I mean, there's plenty of women that were brought to tears by what she said. But I have a feeling there was plenty of men too, if they stopped and listened, would have probably had the same emotional reaction to what she said, because it's all about who we are and what society says we should be, which is stupid. It really is dumb. And I would be lying if I said I didn't cry by the end of the movie. How can a damn movie based on a toy
I'm going to say I knew it
make
too.
Toy
me
Story.
cry?
Honestly.
Toy Story.
Okay, yeah, you're right. But that's
Hey.
Pixar, they get a pass.
Yeah, they do get a pass.
Well, and then there's the scene between the mom and the cast, where she's telling them what she understands everybody to perceive her to be, and like how she has to struggle through life with all these perceptions piled on her. I mean, it was the same thing that we discussed during the review of the it's the album from Sleater Kinney. It's there's that song that they wrote that was all about like, this is what every man and every woman like says a woman should be, and if I'm not that, I'm not enough. And that was that one scene was like you could tell it was a pinnacle point of the movie, and it was like the philosophical statement. It was like with all this, to everybody else I'm not enough, but what am I really then?
Well, yeah, and then as Trista said, Ken goes on his own journey, and he finds out who he is. So it's not like we're just dealing with one sex or the other here. It was well done, and I think Greta Gerwig has this, as you've said, Charlie, this incredible way of kind of shattering or at least shedding light on all of the stereotypes that we put on ourselves in this culture. If you haven't seen what's that, Lady Bird?
Lady Bird.
Yeah, you have to see that. That movie's incredible, and it's such a simple movie about a relationship between a daughter and her mother. It's just so simple when it's all said and done, but man, there's some depth in those characters and depth in the dialogue. It's just really good. And I don't know if you guys know, but if maybe I'm wrong here, you guys could correct me if I'm not, but what has Greta Gerwig been slated to direct? The next movies, y'all know?
I
I
heard
haven't
something about
They're
it. I can't
they're
remember.
revitalizing a series of books that they tried a couple of movies and then they'd stopped making them by a famous Christian author.
It's
Lion
not
the Witch and the Wardrobe. Chronicles
It's
of
not
Narnia.
Really?
I'm pretty
That's
sure Greta Gerwig has
crazy.
been slated to, and I think the first one they're going to do is A Horse and His Boy.
Oh, that's gonna
okay.
be interesting.
So I'm pretty sure somebody out there in Simpleton Land, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard that, and if that's the case, then heck yeah. And maybe, because I know there was another female director that tried this, and I like that female director as a director, but she failed miserably at this movie called A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
Greta could do A Wrinkle in Time. Oh my God,
Oh
that
my
would be amazing.
gosh.
I don't even remember what happens in that
It
movie.
can be done, people. I know A Wrinkle in Time can be made into a good movie, but for some reason, all of the attempts have failed. Please, somebody do it justice, because that book is
It is
one of-
amazing.
it's one of my favorites of all
Yeah.
time. It
It's
is so
amazing.
freaking good.
Good.
So, back to Barbie. Let's go ahead and give our scores. I'm going to start. Look, I've got this little circle. You know, you guys got your little circles. So, to my right is Tristan. Go ahead. Give us your score.
I'm gonna give it a 5 because I really think, and it surprised me as well, this movie has a lot of detail dedicated to, self-identity and everything, and it really surprised me at how much Greta Gerwig put into it. I expected it just to be a fun, silly, Barbie movie.
Yeah,
But there
me
was
too.
so much that she was able to put into it, and it really gave it, ironically, its own personality. And I loved it. I loved a lot of the messaging. I don't hate all the men, okay? I promise. I honestly don't. And I think if you really just, like Nate said, I think, if you just take a moment to kind of watch it and not think of all the feminist propaganda stuff, it becomes a really great movie for finding your own identity. And I wish more people would realize that instead of hating on it. So 5 points, 5 stars.
5 nadies. I don't know what we call them. I don't know what we call them.
We just give it a
have
5.
Yeah, we just say the number. We don't have
5.
we don't know what the number stands for. It's just a number.
It's
Lemuel,
just a
go
5.
ahead.
I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5. You can feel the heart coming out of it again. You can tell all the actors were fully on board with everything that was going on. No one was uncomfortable. The set design was great. The camera work was good. The jokes were really funny. I really liked the beach off joke, even though it was a little surprising at first. It was pretty funny.
The cameo with John Cena.
Oh, that was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I like the narrator bits too.
Yeah, but yeah, just think if you walk into it thinking it's a movie about hating all men, the beginning can make it feel like that at first because of the way the society's kind of flipped. But if you watch it, it even points out how having just one group of people as the main group of people or is in charge, that's part of a problem. Either way, they point that out halfway through the film.
Mhm.
So you just need to watch it.
I think this movie was done really well, except that it did phase into almost 2 parts. So there was the main story part, and then there was a part where it got into the existential vent. And that's the part where I just kind of started to fall off the wagon and oh, okay, this is the part of a Greta Gerwig story that it's not as entertaining. It's still well written and it's still well presented. It's just okay, so it's got its own vent and its own crowd to serve to, and I'm just not part of that crowd. So I'm going to give it a 4.5. So I think this was an excellent movie. I can't give it a 5. Just because, again, it flowed really well until that point where it hit that second part where all of a sudden everything had to be explained out on almost a metaphysical, plane. And it felt kind of forced. So it didn't flow as well with the story. So that's where it kind of like dragged for me.
Wow, that was pretty in-depth review there. I don't know if I got anything deep like that to say, Charlie. I've got. I'm going to say I liked it, and I give it a 4.5. And I thought the dance scene was amazing.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes!
It's beautiful.
That's where we're going to go. I think. You know, I have to say, I actually think this was one of Ryan Gosling's best acting jobs I have seen him in.
Honestly,
Seriously,
yes.
It's to go from being this passive, like almost effeminate, like, you know, emasculated persona to being tough and then being like, you know, just, you know, like sad, just instantaneously, like on the dime, he would flip between these different personalities in his screen. I was like, wow, he's doing a pretty good job. I think Ryan Gosling may actually be a pretty decent actor. I like Ryan Gosling. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
I've seen some of his indie films. I saw like Blue Valentine and In the Pines. Those are great movies. He does an excellent job.
I'm just teasing. I think he's a good actor. But I mean, again, it was just
so many people
packed with movie stars. It was pretty amazing. And then to have Rhea Perlman, was that her last name?
Rhea Perlman, yeah.
Yes.
As the creator of
Creator of
for
Barbie,
you young ones, Rhea Perlman
Barbara.
was the mean waitress on Cheers.
Yeah. Okay.
Call her.
Yeah, I know.
Call
I know
her.
her from something else. She's been in lots of stuff.
She was in Matilda, if you remember
Matilda. That's
Yes,
the one I'm
that's
thinking
true.
of.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still married, but she was Danny DeVito's
She
wife.
was Danny DeVito's wife,
Yeah,
yeah.
for years and years and years. I think they might have gotten divorced, but I can't remember. Anyway, either way, Rhea Perlman's a pretty amazing. She was. I don't know if you guys have seen Cheers, the young ones.
I
You've
have.
made me
Well,
watch
some of it.
Cheers.
Yeah, oh, she's fantastic.
She's like the reason to watch.
She's the best
the
part
time.
of that whole show. She's hilarious.
Between her and the relationship between Cliff and Norm.
That's true.
Yeah, you know, the mailman. Anyway, all right, that's my terrible
God.
Cliff. And of course, Cliff is in every single Pixar movie ever made, right? So we got a 4.5. A 4.5. What was yours?
5.
Yeah, so the guys get 4.5.
Lem gave it a 5. Oh no, yeah,
No, I
he
gave
gave
it
it 4.5. Yeah.
And
Okay,
a
fine. I
5.
see how
But
it is.
that-
No.
Hey!
Well,
I'm glad she got a 5.
Feminist.
That's awesome.
Couldn't give us the 5 on the men's side there.
Nah.
But that is enough to give that movie a Simpleton certification. I am not kidding. One of these days, we need to start making little cheap awards and send them to the movie theater or to Greta Gerwig or whoever as, hey, you got a Simpleton certified from us. And they'd be like, who in the blank cares?
It's either that or else they put it on a bookcase next to their nerd books, you know?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, we want to thank you so much. I know you have probably seen Barbie, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the movie, even if you're a misogynistic pig. Leave your comments in the comments below. We'd truly love to know. Well, I mean, I'll respond, and I'll tell you you're a dumb person. But yeah,
Family
respond
podcast.
anyways. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast, and we will see you next week where we'll review something else. Talk to you guys later. Have a great one. Bye-bye.